Good morning. I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. I'm here with you today to discuss a very important topic. That's a very important topic for placement, campus recruitment. So you attend any exam, not only for campus placements. You write any general civil exams or any competitive exams or any sort of entrance exam, whatever it is. You find a kind of like reading passage, right? So that is a very important topic. Or sometimes students fear, and many times examining people who attend all these exams fear a lot. It's just because of some important questions or concept question related questions. So that is something that is very challenging at the same time, so which is very important, that tests your knowledge or your understanding capacity. So that is nothing but reading comprehension. Yes, you're right. You've guessed it rightly. So understanding reading comprehension is very important, or knowing, and before you do something, knowing before doing. So that is why you have to understand the concept first. So let's now start this reading comprehension, understanding reading comprehension part 1. Now, this reading comprehension is not just a concept to learn, just about like how to answer questions to any reading passage, but you have to understand what is the significance of it and why is it said to be a reading comprehension. So what is this comprehension? What is the reading and comprehension? You have to understand certain terms and certain concept or aspects before we discuss, or before I help you understand this reading comprehension. So that is nothing but LSRW, right? Listening, speaking, reading, and writing. LSRW skills, all language, four language skills, right? So reading is one of the skills that is very important, and that is very useful for you, right? So listening, reading, writing, speaking skills, LSRW, listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. You listen to understand and respond, okay, and you speak and then you respond. You read and you understand, also you act or you respond. You write to convey to others and also to communicate. So all four languages are very important. And importantly, many students, especially students who appear for campus recruitment or placements, they have this trouble for kind of like going through, or if they have to go to another level of exam, or in their work kind of like performance, they have to go through this reading comprehension level. So that is very important, and many students find it very challenging. It's just because they do not know the basics of it, and they do not know the concepts of basic concepts and basic understanding of this reading comprehension. So I'm here with you to explain you the basics, and then how you can really perform. And it is not only you cannot say it, oh, it is a difficult task and so I do not want to take it up. No, you never say that. Once you understand it, you will enjoy it. So you will be a voracious reader if you can understand this concept. My dear viewers, I tell you, I promise you, at the end of the session, you will understand the concept of reading comprehension, and then you will say that you have this appetite for reading, and you will become a voracious reader, in case if you understand, or only if you understand this reading comprehension properly. Now, come, let's start our session with our first thought. What is this reading? What is this reading? Reading is a way of language acquisition, right? So reading is a way of language acquisition. Reading is just reading aloud? No. Reading for understanding, and it is a way of language acquisition too. You acquire language when you read also. When you read, you understand, you get to know things, what is there, which is not there in your knowledge, in your schema, and which is not there in your background knowledge. So you read and you get those inputs from this passage. So that is very important. And next, it's an intricate interaction between the text and the reader, which is shaped by the reader's prior knowledge, experiences, attitude, and language community. What is this intricate interaction? So, kind of, say, for example, if I'm writing a text or an article or a book or any piece of writing, okay, if I have written something and then I am interacting with my readers, so I'm communicating my thoughts, I'm communicating my views, I'm communicating my opinions, I'm giving a lot of information in the form of writing, and thereby I expect my readers to communicate with me. So I'm having I have a sort of interaction with them. So that is nothing but having an intricate relationship, deep, intimate, kind of, intricate, complex, also kind of like interaction, not which is not very straightforward. Okay, so this kind of interaction happens between the text writer and the reader, and also the text and the reader. Here, more than the here, whenever we say the text and the reader, the interaction between the text and the reader means the write-up there. Okay, what is a thing that you are reading, a reading text. So very often we use this terminology, terms like the text and the reader, that which means whatever the author or the author of that particular text has written, right. So the reader and the text will communicate with each other, and which is further shaped by the reader's prior experiences. And for example, I read a piece of text, okay, or some textbook, and how do I shape my thinking after I read the text? I shape my thinking how? By using my background knowledge, by using the experience, by using the attitude, and all these things, right? And language community. So by reading all that, I do a lot. I interpret the text, I understand it. So that is very important. So all my prior knowledge, experiences, attitude, language community, everything will help me, help shape me as a person who reads the text, or what to get out of it and how to understand the text. So I use my prior knowledge, I use my experiences, I use my attitude, everything to give, to take a decision, or to take my own stand on the text which I read. So that is why it is shaped. My understanding is shaped by all this knowledge, experiences, attitude, and language community. So this is something which is very inevitable, and it happens involuntarily. No matter you stop your thinking, no matter you stop sharing your experiences, no matter you think about all your experiences, but still that understanding is undoubtedly shaped by your prior knowledge, experiences, attitude, and language community. So this is what I mean by it is an intricate relationship between the text and the reader, intricate, a complex kind of, not very direct way, and which is further shaped by reader's prior knowledge and experiences. Right. So now, how does this get how do you really develop this kind of, and how does that get perfect? Okay, so it gets well, or your reading is further shaped, reading acquisition is further achieved by your continuous practices, and development and refinement will take place. So this sort of continuous practice, you keep reading. That's the only suggestion I have for you. How do you have to improve your reading skill? Read. How do you want to improve your writing? Write. Simply write. How do you want to improve your speaking? Speak. That's all. So this is all very practical, my dear listeners. When you practice all this, definitely you will shape your reading, and you will improve your reading. So with continuous practice, definitely you can develop and refine your reading ability or reading comprehension. Next, so And these readers, for example, when you are reading any textbook, you may use different morphemes or morphological sense or kind of like syntax, and the text that is used, and many clues, semantical aspects are also include, like meaning related lexical issues. When you are reading any text, you apply all these morphological rules and regulations, morphemes, and how the words are ended, kind of linguistics and stylistics. You play all these things and you understand the text and you understand the context and to identify the meaning of the text. So the reader is going to shape his understanding according to his textual, according to his personal experience, and also by using all these morphological, syntactical, and semantical, contextual clues, that are given in the text, and also that he has for himself, and he to identify the meaning of known words. So when you are reading any text, you can apply all these things. Now, why is it important? Why do you have to think that reading is very important? Is reading very important? Yes, reading is very important. Why is it important then? So it is important for students' success, because they will show this kind of disinterest, and they do not know how to read a text, and they don't know how to answer it, and they have this failure, and sometimes they are not selected for companies, and most often, so they work in companies and they have to read several things, and in order to be effective speakers, in order to be effective performers. But what happens is, when they are not able to read and when they are not able to comprehend is nothing but to be able to understand. So to be able to understand and make out what is the sense of it. So that is why reading comprehension is very important. So the barriers faced by the readers, especially, so to overcome will cause, so barriers, because of this barriers, this sort of disinterestedness is created in the minds of the students. So that is why. So, and also another, why is it so important? It is important not only for a student success when performing exams, but also to broaden one's thinking. So we will broaden our thinking. We will shape our thinking. When we read, we get to know many things. When we read, we can understand, we can take, we can incorporate, we can learn, we can draw several inputs from the text, which we are not really aware of them before we read the text in our personal life. So when we read, we get to know things. We cannot think that we know everything, and that's why we can be excellent performers. No, you cannot think like that. Instead, we have to read and read until we broaden our thinking capacity. Next, reading helps us to know who we are. It helps, or reading, because of the reading is, this reading habit is to know who we are. So the reading should happen just because to know who we are and what is important to us, and how it helps us understand the world around us. So it also allows the reader to convert a written text as a meaningful language with independence, comprehension, fluency, and to interact with the message. So why is it so important? It permits the reader to convert the written text which is already there as a meaningful text. So when before he reads, it just appears to be some written scribbling or something that is just written there without any shape in life. But once we read, once we understand, when we comprehend, it becomes very lively, or it becomes alive, right? And every word that is used in the text becomes alive, and that speaks to us, and it gives a meaningful sense to us, and we enjoy, we relish reading it, and we become a voracious reader. So we can enjoy a lot by reading a good text, and reading a good text is important. And when we read a text, we need to have certain things, like we need to activate our vocabulary, we need to activate our semantics, and knowledge of semantics, and we have to activate our lexical concepts, lexical knowledge should be there, and all these things will shape our thinking well when we read a text. Okay, so that is why it allows the reader to convert a written text as a meaningful language with independence, comprehension, fluency, and to interact with the message. That's very important. Now we understood what is reading. Okay, and then we also saw to that why is it important, why is reading important. And now we will see what are types of reading. Oh, if there is are there any different types of reading? Yes, reading means is not a single concept, it's not a single one time operation, or it's not just one way of learning or one way of doing it. Reading also means it also means a lot. Okay, and there are many types of there are many ways of reading any text. So that is why there are several types prescribed, and that is given due importance, right? So now, what are the types of reading? You have to know all this before you appear for any exam solving reading comprehension questions. You should know these techniques, you should understand the basics. Only then you will enjoy, and you become successful, or you have this success when you read and appear for the exam, right? So now, scanning is one important thing. Scanning is one type of reading. Skimming is one type of reading. Active reading is one type of reading. Detailed reading is one type of reading, and then speed reading is one type of reading. Structure proposition evaluation is one type of reading. So scanning, skimming, active, detailed, speed reading, all these will be very helpful to us when we focus on that. Let us see each of these methods in detail. So in part 1, in this session, we will see the types of reading and types of reading comprehension questions, and in the following videos we will understand what are the techniques we can use it. But for now, we will learn the types of reading. So now, what is the scanning? You scan something. You go to a Xerox shop, you go to a photo Xerox shop, and you say, this scan. Is that what do I mean by scanning? No, yes, a sort of relatively. Okay, it is related to what I'm talking about, but not exactly a photocopy of it. But what you're doing is you are photocopying the information. That means when you read, you scan it properly. So let me talk about the function of the scanner. Okay, so when you scan your important document, what do you do there? You scan the document. That means it goes to each and every letter. Okay, so every letter is scanned, right? Every word is scanned. It doesn't eliminate any word, or right? Am I right? Yes. So when you scan each and every word to give your scanned document, in the same way, when you apply this scanning as your reading type or technique, you have to read each and every word when you are scanning it. That means when you're reading text, when you are reading any text, you have to scan it. So by points, looking at the whole text, you have to do it. So, okay, for getting specific points, so you have to get some information. Okay, you have to scan it, you have to look at the whole text, you have to get the text that is that's very important, and some specific points or questions are raised, and you have to scan the full text for getting the relevant information. So it is just opposite to another method, that is skimming method. Skimming, you skim. Okay, so that means you just leave some unimportant things. So you go only to the paragraphs that are very important, whereas in scanning, you try to look at the whole text there. But in skimming, you are not looking at the whole text, but you are trying to look at at some important gist of the whole text. So you are looking at some important points, you are looking at the overall sense of the text. Okay, so we generally use this technique at the time of reading a newspaper. We generally use this technique, right? We go to we will choose our important headlines and we will skim. We will only read like what is the gist of it or what is the overall sense of it. We don't start doing it each and every point. But now I have a question for you. Can you give me an example for scanning? When do you do it? Just laugh, just think, understand the concept and think that you'll get it. Yeah. Have you ever browsed, or have you ever looked through this telephone directory? If you have to get somebody's phone number, okay, so in your phone also, right, you go through that set of numbers, everything, each and everything. For example, uh, like if there is name like for example, like Susan, right? So if you have to look for her name and details, so you'll be looking at each and every word. Like you start with Sarah, and you start with all the names that start with S only, and then you know Sarah, no, okay. So Sandon, Sandy, so no, it is not like that. Then you go to the name that you desire. That you are really looking for, Susan. So you are scanning each and everything, and that is the best example. And when do you skim now? Just I've given a clue. Now you can tell me, where do you skim? Example, when you read a text for the overall sense, right? And for example, okay, and I don't have time to read any text, and my friend has gone through, and we are going to write our exam, and now I say, so I did not read the question, for example. So I go to my friend, I say, so we are going to start an exam tomorrow, I don't have time to do it, can you please tell me the gist of it? Okay, or can you please tell me? Then our friend says, why don't you skim through the text and get the gist of it? So we then skim through the text, so we will look at only the summary of it. So reading for summary is one example. So we generally use these techniques for sometimes, like for the time of reading a newspaper. Next, now another reading style or technique, types of reading. Okay, under these types of reading, we looked at skimming, scanning, active reading style, and detailed reading. So these are also implemented. Active reading style is there, and also detailed reading style. What is this active? The reader actively involved with the text while reading it. So what is this, like what do I mean by being active? Active there, when I'm an active reader, or I have this active reading style, what do? I start using my knowledge, as I mentioned it earlier. Like I try to shape my meaning, I try to use my vocabulary, I try to use every aspect of my knowledge, and I try to understand each and every word that is used by the author in the text. I try to look at every technique that is used by the author, so that I want to get a thorough picture of how the text has been written. And if I'm analyzing the text, if I'm scrutinizing the text, if I'm evaluating his piece of writing, so I start doing implementing this active reading style. So this is nothing but you are actively involved to get a meaning, to derive or to deduce the meaning out of the text. So that is what active reading style. Next, detailed reading style. What is this detailed reading style? We read every word for understanding the meaning of the text. So this is similar to active reading style. So for detailed, with every minute detail is taken care of, is given attention. We read every word for understanding the meaning of the text, right? And also for here, sometimes like here, like we can say, if we have to we are not really after different meaning of specific information, and we just want to just give a sort of general reading in order to understand the summary of the text. Then you get out of this reading method, which we have already discussed, that is skimming method. But whereas for detail, if you're looking at some detail specifically, we can look at this text in a detailed way, from this perspective. So that is nothing but detailed reading. Now, speed reading. Okay, so this is a combination of various reading methods. Okay, what is the objective of this is to increase the reading speed without compromising the understanding of the text reading. And some of the strategies we will discuss. So here what you are doing is you are increasing your capacity to read speed. Okay, so it's like, instead of to be able to just like a fluent speaker, to be able to understand it quickly. Okay, so you increase it. So when do you get this speed reading? When do you use this? Only when you are very good at it, and you have a very good comprehension, and also when you don't have much time and you are really a master of it, and definitely at that time, at that juncture, you will have this speed reading technique. You will use this, right? So some of this procedure, what are some procedures, methods that are involved. Okay, so those are very important. So that is structure proposition evaluation is also one type of reading. Structure proposition evaluation. What is this? So this suggests, or this conveys certain patterns. Okay, first is studying the structure of the work. You study the structure of the work. That is like, you look at grammatical sense, you look at you look at all this semantics, morphemes, logical arrangement, coherence, cohesion, meanings, morphology. All these are studied. Okay, under this structured proposition evaluation. So you follow this studying the structure of the work. Okay, that is very important. So what happens if you do this? If you have this kind of structure, studying the structure of the work, you study this for understanding to interpret every word. When you are like trying to go for this word-to-word translation method, you study the structure of the work very deeply. Also, and in order to get a very good sense of the text, you can definitely go for this structured proposition evaluation reading technique. Right. So one thing that you follow is studying the structure of the work, and second thing that you do under this method is studying the logical propositions made and organized into chains of inference. So you again, like, that's the point I'm trying to say, looking at the coherence and cohesion. What are some logical propositions made? Okay, logical connections that are made, points, evaluation. You are evaluating some logical propositions. Okay, some questions that are raised and some connections that are made, whether these propositions are organized into chains of inference. So all these are studied under this structure proposition evaluation. And then also you go for this evaluation of the merits of the arguments and conclusions. You go for the merits of the arguments, okay, demerits of the arguments. You look at the conclusions, look at the overall sense of that. So what you're doing is you're studying the structure there. You're, in order to get an overall exact kind of comprehension and very good way of understanding the text. In the structure proposition evaluation, you will be able to give a exact interpretation. You'll be able to write a kind of paraphrase. You will be able to comment. You'll be able to write a critical way of evaluating the book. A critical evaluation can be done. All this can be done, and all these are possible with this structure proposition evaluation. Next, also this is another reading type you can use: survey, question, read, recite, review. Survey, question, read, recite, review. Okay, so this procedure or this process involves 5 different steps. Now, what are they? Survey, question, read, recite, review. Okay, now let's look at first one, survey. Here it involves a quick idea on the whole writing piece. To get a quick idea, you go for this survey. Okay, example, reading the introduction. You read the introduction or summary of a book will be enough to get an overall idea. So what you do is you skim there again. Okay, you want to read the summary of something, you want to get overall sense of it. You get to, in order to get a quick idea, you can use this survey method. So next thing is what you do next, you'll be questioning. Okay, survey, question, read, recite, review. Survey, yes, we go for the quick summary of a book. Okay, and then in the next step we do is, we are not just reading the words. Okay, or we are not just sticking to the words alone, but we are trying to make out the underlying meaning of the text. Whereas you are trying to get an implicit meaning, okay, implicit understanding of the text. You are not trying to take the explicit meaning which has been shown by the author explicitly. Some things are not explicitly conveyed, so that's where you need to understand the underlying hidden meaning. So you have to read between the lines. Okay, so we need to raise questions in our mind and look for the answer while reading the text. So if you raise questions, definitely you'll be able to answer it. So especially when you're reading it, you can apply all these techniques. Next, read and recite. So what you do is you read and recite. The readers should read selectively if they are looking for any specific, okay, or specific information. So read and recite, the reader should read selectively if they're looking for any specific. So you cannot go to irrelevant and not unnecessary document, right, or a piece of writing. You have to select of what you are looking at, read and recite. Okay, and also the reader should answer the questions in his own words using only the keywords that are required to sum up the complete. Okay, you have to read it out, and you have to recite for yourself the answers for yourself. Okay, you should answer the questions. When you raise a question, you have to answer the question in your mind. Everything should happen. This is a method. You raise a question and then you get the answer why the author might have talked about it, or why the author has raised this, and what does he mean by it. You question, you answer what is the significance of this paragraph, and why did he mention this reason. So you have reflection over on all these things. Definitely you will crack this exam. Definitely you will hit success when you are answering questions. You can apply all these reading techniques when you are understanding or interpreting the text. Next is like you review the entire things in his mind. You read the text, you understand the structure, you understand the proposition, you evaluate, you understand the summary, you scan it, you skim it, you get the overall sense of the text, you get the important specific information also. You understand morphological implications, you understand semantical, syntactical, stylistic, all these relationships, interconnections made, logical propositions made, and then you review it finally. You understand whether that is, you cross-check. Okay, the reader should review the entire things in his mind. This is a very important signal, my dear friends. This is an important sign of a good reader. You have to understand that. So that is the important, very important one. Reading is the basic foundation on which academic skills of individuals are built. It is the basic foundation on which academic skills of individuals are built. So academic skills are built by using different techniques, right? So we know the paramount, very great importance is given to primary, okay, that education, priority in primary education. So reading, a lot of reading is given importance. So people who read it, academic reading is very important in order to improve your knowledge, broaden your knowledge levels, broaden your thinking. Reading is very important. So you should not forget that this is this is very significant, right? Next, so we've looked at all, what did we look all these through all these slides. Let me review once again. let me take you through all these things. We saw to that what is reading. Okay, we understood it's a way of language, a way acquisition. We understood how it is shaped by by the readers, and also we say how we can achieve, like by with continuous practices, with continuous practice. Give your practice and use your morphological syntactical knowledge in order to get the meaning of the text. And also we saw why reading is important. Why reading is important, we saw. Okay, and also we saw how it helps also, we saw. And also we saw types of reading. We looked at skimming, scanning, active, detailed, speed, structure, proposition, all this, right? So now we will look at these types of reading comprehension questions. Now we have come to a very important phase of this session. This is where students appear, right? They where students go through the questions. They do not know the types of RC, that is reading comprehension questions asked in the exam. So my dear students who are appearing for campus placements or recruitment, you have to understand what sort of questions are there, and how they are formed, and how they are selected, how they are framed, how they are raised. If you know the concept of the questions that is asked, then you can definitely you can master this reading comprehension, and you can attain the meaning that you really need it. So now let me tell you what are some types of RC reading comprehension questions, RC questions. So you have to know on what they're based on. Okay, so they are based on certain things. Number one, as RC questions are based on broad understanding of the text. So broad understanding of the text. We have seen how we need to expand our understanding. Okay, how we will get this broad understanding of the text. So the questions are framed and used on this broad understanding of the text. Secondly, RC questions are based on inference or suggestions, inferences. Okay, suggestions, what you derive, what you conclude from the text. So the questions are specifically designed based on these inferences and suggestions. And also RC questions are based on, some questions are also based on information. Okay, they're based on information, data. So they are exclusively asked and questioned based on, see, we have seen some questions are based on broad understanding, and some questions are based on or inferences or suggestions. And some third type we have to understand is some questions are based on the informative knowledge, there information or the given data of the text. Okay, some questions are framed like that. And another a set of questions are based on local and specific comprehension text or global comprehension text. Okay, so some questions are based on local comprehension of the text, or sometimes it's global comprehension. What is this local comprehension? What are this global comprehension of the text? Everything we will see in some time. Now we will understand. Now let us understand. Broaden, or you can broaden your thinking. Broad understanding questions. Okay, so comprehend the passage. You have to understand the passage as a whole. Okay, overall sense to make the right answer. You have to, there are questions based on overall sense of the text is here used. Okay, you have to apply the technique where you can understand the overall perspective of the text. In by and large, you have to understand the concept that is given there. So as a whole, so to write or to mark the right answer, you have to understand the overall sense of the text. There will definitely be plenty of hints given for you, but the answer is never directly stated in the when they ask you broad understanding questions. So overall sense of the text should be understood, and the answer is not very clear and answer is not direct, but you have to derive the answer by understanding the whole argument of the text. And there will be many clues also given, right? Like example, like what is the central idea of the passage. There they do not the text doesn't mention, oh, this is the author doesn't mention this is the central basic idea of the text. You have to understand the main purpose of the passage. What is the main purpose? The other doesn't say, or the doesn't say this is the main purpose of the passage. And then what is the main purpose of a specific paragraph, that particular paragraph or a sentence? What is the main purpose? So that is also understood. That is also questioned. So what is the central idea of the passage? Main purpose of the passage, main purpose of a specific paragraph, sentence. These are some examples of broad understanding questions. Okay, some more, like what is a suitable title for the passage? Sometimes the title is not given. We have to come up with it. What is the source of the passage? Tone of the passage. What is the professional of the author? Sometimes the answers are not very clear. They are not given, but you have to understand. Now, secondly, we have understood some questions are based on inference and suggestions. How these inference suggestions questions are given? They are never found, though a clear evidence is there. Okay, they are not directly. You have to infer, you have to derive. That will help you to arrive at the right answer. You have to draw your conclusions. You have to, what is this, how do you draw inferences? Conclusions for yourself. Oh, this must be the reason. Oh, this is what the author is trying to say. Oh, this is the meaning of the passage. You have to draw conclusions from every detailed aspect of the text. So they are not direct as like broad understanding questions. They are not given. So you have to make, so they are not very clear. So this will help you. Making inferences or suggestions or conclusion will help you arrive at the right answer. Okay, you need not all understand the whole passage for this matter. You can go to directly that part of the question if the questions are asked, and you can try answering them. See, for example, what can be inferred about XYZ thing in that passage? What can be inferred about? So you have to infer. The answer is not clear. Which of the following thing about ABC is suggested by the author? So is which of the following thing? That is not directly suggested by the author, but you are trying to suggest. Okay. So you are trying to find out that which is suggested by the author. The next, the author implies which of the following. So that is implicit, which is not very direct. These are some inference based questions. Next, there are, as we've discussed, there are some important questions that are framed, reading comprehension questions framed on the information given and the data given. So this is a very, I feel like this is a very easy pattern, concept question, more than this broad understanding questions, inference. This is very easier, and you can answer because that is the questions are made based on the information given. So which of the following is most responsible for the spread of XYZ virus? The author is likely to agree with all of the following except. These are very pretty direct in the questions. Okay, the reason why a particular thing is ineffective is just because. See, these are answers or questions based on the given information. You don't have to worry about it. So just understand how questions are framed. Okay. Next, another type we have understood some questions that are framed. Global comprehension or local comprehension? What are these global and local comprehension? That means within the text itself, the textual knowledge within about the paragraphs, the details that are given, information that are given, the structural suggestions or structural clues. That is all within the text. Okay, understanding of the text. Whereas global comprehension means that is general meaning of what you are listening or reading. Sometimes it goes beyond the text. Okay, general overall sense you have to. Okay, compared to selective comprehension. Okay, or which means understanding specific information. It is just opposite to this specific understanding specific information in the text. Sometimes it is overall, sometimes it is general. Okay, it goes beyond the local comprehension of the text, that it is within the text. Local comprehension is something that is that falls within the text, knowledge or information that is within the text, whereas global is something beyond that. That means general sense or general meaning, which is not directly stated. And local is, yes, it is within the text. Okay, so for example, what is the summary of the story overall? What are some basic conclusions you can draw? Could be an inference at the same time, the global comprehension also. Okay, so now we've understood, we try to understand what are some types of questions that are framed for you in the exam. You have to understand. If you know this, then you can, if you know that is an inference based question, then definitely you can give your draw your inference into it. So these are different kind of patterns that will help you master or achieve success when you are reading, doing reading comprehension. So reading comprehension questions based on broad understanding, based on inference suggestions, based on information data, based on local or specific comprehension text. Right. We will look at some tips also for effective reading. So some tips that are useful for your effective reading. So one is like these are some tips you can apply. You can identify the aim of reading. Okay, when you are reading, when you want to improve reading, you have to understand what is your aim. Is it your aim to understand the structural components? Is it your aim to understand your overall sense of the overall sense of the text? Do you want to go for the summary of the text? Do you want to go for the specific information? Identify your aim of reading. Okay, next, knowing the background information. Knowing the background information. Sometimes knowing the background information of the text. For example, the writer's text can be understood by, by writer's lifestyle, by writer's social background, by writer's cultural background, by understanding the time period when that particular text is written. Okay, that, for example, Charles Dickens, if he comes, he writes beautifully. He got wonderful, marvelous masterpieces in English literature. So if you have to understand his work, you have to go back to his lifetime. Okay, you have to understand his background, and so having all that, you can really interpret well. Next, selecting and using the reading strategy. We've discussed all types of reading also, and strategies, yes, we will discuss in future sessions. So you have to know whether you are using this particular reading strategy, whether you want to use skimming method or the type of reading text you want to apply. Okay, whether you want to skim or whether you want to scan, whether you want to do all that. So you can use any type of reading strategy that you want to use. And selecting the relevant text also. Sometimes, of course, in exams you cannot select your text, but when you want to improve your text, you have to select the relevant text you really want to. Next, note down the important points. When you are trying to do this reading comprehension, note down very important points, underline them. This will be very helpful to you to get the answer for the text. Next, understanding of the writer's style. So you have to understand the writer's style. What are the symbols he uses? So what are symbolisms he uses? What are figures of speech he uses? Okay, what are the writing techniques he uses? If you understand them, you will be able to understand the comprehension. You will get the comprehension of the text. So that is also very important. Okay, next, concentration, focus is very important. Only if you're focused, you're able to get a proper meaning of the text. You'll be able to interpret the text appropriately, right? Next, checking the comprehension. You have to cross check your comprehension. Just don't blindly come up with your conclusion. Check your comprehension, whether you have understood properly. Cross check and then go back again. You check all the things, right? So if you follow all these things, definitely you'll be able to master reading comprehension. And so understand the types of reading techniques you have to adopt, understand what are the tips you can really use. Definitely you can master your reading comprehension text. Okay, definitely you'll be able to overcome, definitely you'll be able to get success. So for placement point of view, sometimes they give very lengthy passages. You apply all these strategies, cut down, use your skimming method, go for the overall text, underline the points, note down the points, understand the writer's style. Okay, so use appropriate reading strategy. Definitely you will be able to master this kind of kind of like what is competitive aspect, right? So all the best, and then hope you have understood the session. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.